Welcome back, Truth to a T. Please like, subscribe, and share this video, and leave a comment down below. Check the video description for valuable discount links.
Sneaking a peek to the outside.
Well, I've spent a lot of years going to NASCAR races, so before anybody starts judging me or dictating to me in the comments, which I would like you to comment, however, because I may be missing something. I attended my first NASCAR race in about 1982 down at Daytona, and I've been going ever since. I'm a very loyal fan. I'm a very loyal supporter. As a kid, my brothers raced stock cars in Europe, and I love racing. This weekend at Darlington was a great race. It was a great race weekend. But I do notice changes. And frankly, the changes in NASCAR are the same in every sport, some of them. But NASCAR is definitely seeing a different scene. Now, in the 90s, when I was going to NASCAR races, that was a time when you couldn't even get a ticket. There was times you wouldn't. Dover, we used to go to Dover up in Delaware, and there were weekends that they were literally sold out. That has changed, of course, understandably. It's changed for every sport. Not as many people are attending those type of events. We have a generation coming up who would like to see things happen in 5 minutes instead of 3.5 hours. They live in a different world. Now, this is not about them. The one thing I noticed, though, mostly at the NASCAR races now is the emphasis on the elderly, aging fans. There are a lot of golf carts now available to bring people to and from the track. If you've ever been to Darlington, Darlington has that big steep hill as you walk out of the racetrack. They now have 2 lanes set up there. So you can walk back up the hill if you want, but they have a specific lane for golf carts that picks people up at the track and brings them back up to the top of that hill. There's noticeably very, very few younger fans. The sport is changing. Everything is changing. Now, the one thing I did notice that was a positive was they have actually shut down. There used to be all these fields around the racetracks that, of course, historically were full of fans. They were full of fans. They were full of concession stands. You know, you used to have merchandise there. There was merchandise inside the track, which is controlled by NASCAR. And then outside of the track, outside of the main grounds, there were, like, I guess you would call them individual or private merchandise people, where they would also sell stuff, and NASCAR encouraged that. Now, I don't know if this is the same at every track, but in Darlington right now, none of that is available anymore. All of the merchandise, all of the private merchandise companies are gone. But what they have done with that is those areas that they used to be in also had like fans there and campers and showers and all this kind of stuff. All that has been shut down on the one side of the petty campground, as an example. And all those campers have been moved over to the actual petty camping area, which is kind of nice because it's more crowded there. So it's it's more fun. You don't feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. Now, having said that, there were many available spaces in that campground. There were many voids where there were no campers, and it was maybe 15 or 20 spaces until you got to the next camper. So there's definitely less people at the racetracks. We know that. NASCAR have also changed, they've fudged the numbers, if you will, because they talk about a sold out event now doesn't mean that there's 100,000 seats, let's say, in a stadium that are sold out. They pick a number. There's a number. It might be 60,000 or 50,000 or 70,000. And that number is considered a sellout. But I can guarantee you, Darlington was not a sellout. The other thing I noticed is that many of the merchandise trailers are back. They went away for a while. They had this fantastic or fan something. I'll post it up there. They were selling the merchandise. They had like a big, huge tent, and every driver's merchandise was in there. Now the haulers are back. It's back to the way it used to be. Not all the haulers, but I would say all the top teams now have their haulers. They're not necessarily individual drivers, though some of those still exist. It's mostly the teams now. So Hendrick, let's say, if they have 3 cars or 4 cars, or if they have 3 cars or 4 cars and then the Xfinity teams, all of those various drivers' merchandises are in that one trailer. But it's still beautiful. It's great to see all that classic merchandise back. The other thing I noticed at Darlington was the midway area where you used to have Ford and Chevy and Toyota. All the big brands were there. They had all these interactive games. That kind of went away for a while, and it was really boring in there. Now that has come back somewhat. Like NASCAR do have some areas there where they have games, and there were some RV dealers there. There was some classic, as you know, there's a museum there at Darlington. They had some of those classic cars there on display in the midway area, and they did have some interactive games. They had a bar area set up there, and there were noticeably a lot more driver appearances and question and answer sessions, and all kind of celebrities signing autographs and that kind of stuff. And it was really, really nice to see that back. Inside the track itself, or at the track, I should say, the amount of foods that they have now is definitely better. It used to be, hamburgers and hot dogs and maybe chicken fingers, but now they actually had a food truck there with barbecue. And it was nice. You could get like potato salad or beans, or you could get all these different things. There was a taco stand there. The different drinks that they have now, much better selection of soft drinks. It's changing. There's not as many fans, but the racing is still good. And, you should support the sport. I've never been one of those people that said, I'm never going back to NASCAR. NASCAR sucks. How dare they do this? How dare they do that? It's still a great sport, man. Those engines sound as good as they always did. And the fans are still as cool as they always were. I do think the sport is changing. The fan base is changing. I don't know where it goes. I would love to see it come back to its glory days like it had in the 90s. I just don't think that's going to happen. Not because of any fault of NASCAR. I think the world is just changing and people want more. And by the way, I'm a big Tesla fan, as you know. I don't believe we're going to see an EV or an electric NASCAR racing series. It doesn't work. And frankly, the people who are into Tesla and who are into customizing their Cybertrucks or their Model Ys or their Model S Plaids or whatever it is, I don't think they're into that. They may be into something else like, doing mountain climbs or, kind of stuff that proves their 4x4 is as good as a regular 4x4. But racing around a racetrack for a long period of time, maybe a couple hours or 3 hours, I just don't think we're ever going to see that from electric vehicles. And I'm sure the NASCAR people watching this channel are quite happy with that. They'd be happy if these electric vehicles went away. But I got news for you. They're not going anywhere. They're not. Don't kid yourself. But listen, support the sport. Don't be that guy. I'm an older guy, obviously. Don't be that guy that, you know, after Earnhardt died, which was a very sad time for all of us, people were like, I'm never going back to the racetrack again. NASCAR sucks, blah, 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 blah. All they care about is this. All they care about is that. You know what? I have something to say to you people who say that. You call yourself a race fan? You call yourself a NASCAR fan? If you've ever said something like that, you were never, ever a race fan. Thanks for watching.